Hello everybody and welcome to a Retro Tuesday where we play through a game of yesteryear, a classic usually, something that we remember fondly from when we used to be playing with very low powered consoles. This week, or last week, we started to play through Fire Emblem, the first of the Fire Emblem series that actually got released in the West. This is a GBA game, and while there were Fire Emblems that came before this one, this was, like I said, the first one that got released in English, and it really kicked off a marvellous franchise which has done great things for Nintendo in the years since. In fact, it's probably Nintendo's largest, most reliable property these days, in terms of just the kind of the headspace and the fact that there's so many characters. It's just such a revenue opportunity for the company. So yeah, this you can trace back where Fire Emblem really started to take off as a worldwide property to this game. And last week we played through the first couple of levels within it. This week we're going to continue on. Basically because I loved it so much. We do cycle around the games to try and play a wide variety of them, but I was having so much fun playing Fire Emblem and reconnecting with this game that I decided to continue on this week. We'll give people a moment or two to log in or jump on and join us on the stream, and then we'll get going. Hopefully there are people around on this lovely Tuesday night here in Australia. Otherwise I'll be doing my usual thing. Well, not really usual thing, but it happens every so often that I have to scream into the void. That'll be fun. But hopefully there are a couple of people that jump on to say hello and chat as we play through a classic game. Okay, so as you've been watching through, they've got a little story sequence at the start which introduced the world of Fire Emblem. One of the things we discussed a little bit last week was that Fire Emblem, although it is a tactics RPG and very heavily focused on the gameplay bits, it is actually also tells a really good story. It's mostly character driven because every character in the game is designed to be a unique individual, an interesting person that you're meant to love on one level or another, and they certainly focus the energy on telling the character stories. But within that, there's also this broad kind of epic story arc that you also get to follow, which is, it's very pulp fantasy, but it is very good quality, good writing, and really showed the strength of the Fire Emblem series. There are many other tactics RPGs out there that are not very narrative focused or have narrative as more a convenience to push the gameplay forward, but Fire Emblem really did try to integrate things a little bit better. So just to remind you where we got up to last week in case you either missed the stream or forgot in the past week, because yeah, there's certainly a lot going on at the moment. We were introduced to Lady Lynn, who is that character actually right there on the screen right now. Lynn is a nomad that lives in a quite remote part of the world, and she discovers quite quickly that she's actually heir to a small kingdom of sorts, and that her grandfather, who she never knew she was related to, has asked to see her as her only remaining living family member. She naturally wants to do that, and she's got a couple of knights that decide to escort her back to her homeland. What we also discover is that there's an evil uncle, and that evil uncle wants the kingdom for himself, so he's in the process of poisoning the grandfather, and has also hired bandits and such to try and stop Lynn from actually making the journey. So that's 3 levels worth of story. today we'll play on. This is actually just the tutorial part of the game, and something I didn't mention in the stream last week, the whole Lynn story arc, which is quite extended. I think it's about 13 levels or so. It is that entire arc is actually just a tutorial. You'll see what happens later on when we get past it, but it is definitely designed just to introduce you to the various concepts of Fire Emblem, and it's a really interesting way to do tutorials. So often these days we try and rush through the tutorial part because it is quite dull, and it's usually very prescriptive and not particularly engaging, but this one really actually makes a story arc out of the narrative before getting into the proper narrative as such. So yeah, it's quite an interesting tutorial and way of introducing the game to players, especially since everybody in the West hadn't played this before. So we'll jump into it. Okay, Fire Emblem, restart chapter. So that's the one we're up to, Band of Mercenaries, chapter 3. As you can see, they take about half an hour each to play through. So it is a time commitment to play Fire Emblem, especially when you start getting up to the levels that get difficult and you have to replay them a couple of times. It is certainly a commitment to play the entire game, but it's good. It's worth the time investment. And that is the two knights that we mentioned have decided to partner up with Lynn and help her get to her grandfather. They're actually knights of the kingdom, so she is effectively their lord, and they are pledged to protect her. The one in green is a bit of a loser. He tries to be the playboy knight type and is a bit of a cur, as I think he's referred to in old language. The other one is a bit of a stuck-up himself kind of knight, the other end of the spectrum as far as knightly behaviour and pop fantasy go. But between them, they're pretty decent. They're certainly good for a scrap. And that is Lynn. Lovely, lovely Lynn. So Lynn has remained a very popular character in the Fire Emblem series in the years since. She still tops the polls as the most popular character, and that's a combination of things. Firstly, she's very pretty, of course. She certainly is fan service bait, and you would see if you played the mobile phone Fire Emblem, they certainly go all out to up the fan service with that character in particular. But it's also the first major character in a Fire Emblem game that a lot of people have exposure to, because once again, this is the first properly localized Fire Emblem into English, so this was people's first experience with the series, and when it's a pretty memorable character in Lynn, it becomes easy to get that nostalgia for the character as well, and that would explain why she remains incredibly popular. It does beg the question that if this area is home to such a ruthless bunch of barbarians and there is absolutely nobody out there to help and protect them, why people are actually living there at all, because this has obviously been going on for quite some time, and it also raises the question why this village was still there. But those are little side questions, they're not really related to the overarching plot, so the game doesn't deal with that, of course. I mean, the main point is that the game wants to make these talented bandits out to be absolutely horrible people, and it certainly manages to achieve that. And we're just about to be introduced to another character, because like I said earlier, this is a extended tutorial across 13 missions or so. You actually do get introduced to an awful lot of characters that become important later on, or they become part of your party as well. This time around we actually meet the first of, I guess, the magical characters. So far it's all been very standard knights in shining armor and swords and, you know, bandits with their axes. So it's all been quite low magic fantasy so far. But we're just about to meet a Pegasus rider, which is, you know, obviously a more high fantasy concept. Pegasus with their wings and their ability to fly. One of the things I find interesting, I guess, is that I often think when I think about the visual novel genre, my first visual novel that I remember being, you know, an actual visual novel experience was Steins Gate, I believe, or Hakuoki. No, it was probably Hakuoki on the PlayStation 3. That was a straight-up visual novel experience, and that was really the introduction to me for the genre. For whatever reason, I adopted it a little bit later than I think a lot of other people who like Japanese games. But I have since become a very big fan of the genre. But when I think back to this one now, having played it right now, I realise that it does have a lot of elements of the visual novel genre in it, with these extended kind of conversation sequences before and after each battle. And yeah, I think that the influence of Fire Emblem as a game, as a series, and it has been around since the NES in Japan, it has been pretty clear that a lot of other tactics RPGs borrow heavily from the visual novel genre as well in the process. I'm thinking games like Utawara Ramono, for example. It's another great tactics RPG. The tactics themselves borrow a little bit from, perhaps a little bit more from Final Fantasy Tactics than Fire Emblem, but the structure of the game is very clearly Fire Emblem-esque in the way that it has these visual novel sequences that bookend the combat bits. So it's a good mix. It's definitely an appealing way to handle the tactics RPG genre. When you look at more traditional JRPGs, the narrative tends to be a lot more integrated within the experience. So you'll have, you know, a much closer connection between the bits where you're doing the gameplays and the bits where the narratives are happening. And even though they tend to have longer cutscenes these days, especially back in the earlier days, like around the time of Fire Emblem, the narrative sequences tended to be fairly short and aimed at getting you back on track with the gameplay quite quickly. Whereas with Fire Emblem, it definitely has these extended story sequences to follow as well. Hello, Diddy Ram. Welcome to the stream. Wasn't sure if you'd be able to jump on. I know it's a little bit earlier than we usually do them. I'm trying some different times with these streams, figuring out the right times to run them. Experimenting as such. So if it is easier for you to jump on at the normal time, which is an hour later from now, just let me know and I'll revert back to that next week. I have not read Bloom Into You yet. No. I'm actually reading a book at the moment rather than a manga with my reading time. I can't remember what it's called right now, but it's a more classical Japanese story. It's a pretty well known one. If I could remember the title of it, I would tell you. But yeah, I'm reading a normal wordsy book at the moment, very slowly. I do read books, yes, when I find the time. Sometimes it takes me a long time to get through one. Sometimes I get so hooked into one that I make time that I don't really have to read. But certainly at the moment, because I'm busy doing so many other video game things, I just don't have time to read books fast. I'm reading like 10 pages a day, if that, before I nod off asleep. No. Hang on, just a second. I'm actually going to get up and get my bloody Kindle so I can tell you the name of the book, because it's going to drive me nuts if I can't. There we go. Junichiro Tanizaki's The Makioka Sisters, which is a very classic book. It's one that you mention that name to a Japanese person and they will all know which one you're talking about. It's one of those high stature like Mishima or Dazai or Soseki level authors that everybody knows. I just haven't actually read it as yet. So I'm finding it interesting, the couple of pages I'm in so far. I'll say it slower. It is Junichiro Tanizaki, The Makioka Sisters. He's written a lot of books. Not all of them are localized into English, or translated, not localized. Not all of them are translated into English, but the ones that have are pretty good. I'll type it into the chat window, actually. I just realized I can actually type as well. There we go. That's the first time I've actually typed something in a stream, I think. Okay, so after that digression, we're still going through the story. What's happened is Florina, which is the purple-haired girl here, she's gone and rolled up the bandits accidentally, and luckily for her, Lynn and her knights are around to bail her out. But they actually have a relationship from far back anyway, they're good friends, so it's pretty obvious that this Florina character is going to be pretty important. I gotta say, Florina is not my favorite character. She's too little girl in her attitude. Too shy. Too reclusive. Too timid. Which is a pity, because the Pegasus Riders are usually pretty awesome in Fire Emblem games, actually. I do like the Pegasus Riders. I always try and level them up, but with this one, just... Yes, it is nice hair colour. The purple certainly is is pretty. But don't worry, there are plenty of other characters with lovely hair colours as well. As you can see, it's all very anime. Greens and purples and reds, and not the natural reds either, red reds, and yeah. So this battle is starting to scale up in terms of the number of enemies you fight. If you were on the stream last week, you would have noticed that you're only fighting, you know, a handful of enemies, 4 or 5 on a battle map. But as you can see, it's starting to grow. This is closer to the scale of what is standard for a battle in this Fire Emblem. They get even bigger still, but as far as a single screen goes, that's usually about as much action as you'll see at any time. And it's starting to show some of the terrain tactics as well that you get to play around with. There's walls to deal with, there's archers, there's all kinds of tactical variety being introduced at this point in time. One of the great things about Fire Emblem is just the way that they manage to make each battle map interesting and different. And because in this particular Fire Emblem you can't replay old maps, and there's no random maps to play to get experience levels as well and grind. Every map is really distinctive, unique, and its own thing, which is nice. It is nice. There are too many tactics JRPGs where just the very environments become a grind and quite dull because they're repetitive or they're not designed particularly interestingly. But this one, everything is very handcrafted in terms of its feel, which I like. Okay, so Lynn goes to visit a house and warn them about the bandits and help them out. And pretty neat, we get to meet yet another character. I mean, it's pretty obvious that he's an important character just from his design. He's not a generic stock character. And yeah, we actually get to meet 2 new characters in this battle map, which is cool. This one I do like. I do like this guy. As far as male characters go, I like this one. No, Lynn's too perfect to be too pristine to be a bandit. Oh, very good one. I like that. So it's Will with 1 L. W-I-L. Dude couldn't even get his name right. Should be 2 L's. I don't actually know any Wills that are just 1. I know there's Matthews, being that I am a Matthew. There's plenty of Matthews that have 1 T rather than 2 T's, but this I've never met a Will with 1 L. Okay, so we actually get our own archer now, which is neat. Sniped. And then Florina, who is the Pegasus Knight. As you can see, she doesn't have to worry about terrain. She can fly over walls. That's the whole point of this little tutorial, is to set those two characters up. And bang. Now the problem with Pegasus Knights is that they are super vulnerable to archers. As in, archers will almost always kill them with basically one hit, so you do want to avoid any archers when you're flying around with a Pegasus Knight. And as you can see, the enemy has a couple of archers. Pegasus Knights are also pretty hopeless when it comes to axes, so yeah, this fight, other than that little tutorial bit, this fight is oddly not very suited to Florina. Now, we're not using hint, remember? Like last week I said, I'm trying to save the experience points. You only get a certain number, and if all of your characters are stealing all the or getting all the experience and leveling up, then you actually won't have enough power for later battles. So I'm actually not using hint. I'm just going to use sane. And he'll deal with the archer. That's a great line. She's timid around men, and you've got a bow. That's yeah, that's the other reason that I'm not a big fan of Florina. She's just that so completely shy type that she can't talk to men properly, and all this kind of very anime nonsense. Fire Emblem does have a habit of doing that with some characters, although it has been better in recent years. The Fire Emblem Three Houses on the Nintendo Switch, every character is really well written, and I can't think of a single character that I find irritating, like I find the occasional character from these earlier Fire Emblems. And if the characters in Three Houses are timid or reclusive or whatever, there is one, what's her name, Bernadette? I want to say Bernadette. If they are, it's actually written for decent reasons, not just, I don't like men. I'm scared of men. I mean, not that there isn't reason for her to be scared of men, I guess. But let's not get into that. I don't hate shy people. I just, when it's so overwritten like it is in Florina's case, it's a little bit annoying. Like I said, Bernadette. I'm pretty sure it is Bernadette, her name. Bernadette from Fire Emblem Three Houses is a shy person written really nicely. So that shows the evolution of the writers behind this series. Now, I was trying not to say that. I'm really trying not to say that. But yes, you are right. Especially in these days when they're all stupid meatheads carrying axes around, or wannabe Lancelots. It wouldn't have been a good time to be a woman back then, that's for sure. Okay. So Florina's going to visit this house. To get some cash. Now you may have noticed, as we've been playing along, we'll see it in a second anyway, when a character uses an item, a weapon, the number drops down. It's a number next to that weapon drops down, so let's do that. If I jump in here, see there's a 36 next to the iron sword and 40 next to the iron lance. Every time you use that weapon in combat, the number drops down. When it hits 0, the weapon breaks. So you actually need to preserve your good weapons as much as possible, because you can't really... I mean, some of them are irreplaceable, like Lynn's Manikati magical sword that we picked up in the stream last week. That one can't be replaced, so you don't want to use it against weak enemies unless you absolutely have to, for whatever reason. But the game is full of opportunities to buy new weapons and buy better weapons anyway, so you don't want to be too conservative either. But it is another thing to manage tactically within the game, whether you want to use your really good piece of equipment for an enemy or try to defeat them using weaker stuff. I like the little horse sprites in this game, actually. The little horsies are so cute. Okay. So Sane, because I have been leveling him up without bothering with Kent, Sane's actually a little bit high level right now, and therefore he's actually pretty hard to kill. He's a bit of a tank for my team at the moment. No. Should I have seen that one? I assume TLOOU means The Last of Us 2. Is that the one? Is that the game you're talking about? If you can drop the link in, I'll make sure I check it out later, for sure. Trying to snipe Lynn. What a jerk. We'll deal with him. Okay, so... Iron Bow. So that's a common tactic that you always want to use with Fire Emblem where possible. You stick a tank in an area to bottleneck the enemies, and then just remove them with archers and whatever. It works. It definitely works. Now, if I can get rid of that archer, there's nothing really left that will threaten Florina. So, with the archer having very little health left, and a 90% chance of hitting him, I'm going to deal with him using Florina. There we go. Good job, Flo. Maybe just drop it to me on... Twitter. I'll grab it there. So there's the armory. As I said, this one doesn't have much. There's just iron swords and iron lances. But later on you get to buy all kinds of cool stuff. I'm not going to bother. Because Sane doesn't need any of that. Let's just end the turn. Sorry, which game are you talking about? Are you talking about the mobile one or the Warriors game? Because Lynn's in the Warriors game as well. Trying to think which one. She's certainly... they made her much more powerfully shaped with the Warriors game. Oh, right. Because they have changed her. That's the thing. They have changed her with the with the with the other games. She does appear in Warriors. The mobile phone one, and in the mobile phone one, her chest size has basically doubled what it's implied to be in the pixels of this game. And then the Warriors one, she's much tougher looking, which I like the Warriors design most. I think she's really neat looking in that one. But yeah. Oh, right. That's terrible. That's so that you probably haven't played The Last of Us 2, but that's also a really terrible, terrible analysis, because Joel looks anything but soft and feminine in The Last of Us 2. He's very rugged, and he's very much he's the epitome of the Wild West kind of weary old man trope that we see in so many westerns. He certainly is old and aching, but he's still very hyper-masculinized. Hello, and welcome. Hello, Manuel, and welcome to the stream. I didn't realize you were lurking there. Tiki's pretty cool. But I do have to disagree with you there. It's not Tiki's as good as Tiki is in Fire Emblem Warriors. There's also Olivia the dancer. I do like Olivia. She's a DLC character, but so worth the money. I'll play Fire Emblem Warriors on this thing one day. So, what was I doing? Florina's going to the armory because she's currently carrying only a slim lance, which is a very weak lance. But if I buy the iron lance, she can actually do more damage as well. So let's do that. You're breaking out all the big puns here, Diddy. Okay, so let's deal with the axe dude with Lynn. There we go. Axe dude is gone. Come on, good level up. Good level up. That's a good level up. Still not very good defense, but based on the armor she's wearing, I don't think you could expect good defense. She's hitting hard now, though. The strength of 9. The attack of 9 is actually good value for that character. Yes, that's right. I don't know why they actually chose that fighting style for her. I don't know why, actually. I wouldn't even want to try to guess. She's certainly not molded after the samurai type, and that combat style is very samurai. I guess it looks noble in terms of the action, the momentum, the movement, and when you're working with such limited sprites and animation sets, I guess that looks quite elegant and kind of lord-like. But yeah, it's not. She's certainly not a samurai type character. That's only because you didn't see what happens in the. I mean, you can imagine what happens afterwards. She gets married because yeah, that's the thing that lords have to do. But we all know she's playing around behind the scenes. That's the freedom of being a lord. She doesn't need to maintain that marriage unless she absolutely wants to, which she doesn't want to do. See, now I can't talk about Ghost of Tsushima. Don't try and tempt me into talking about Ghost of Tsushima, Divi. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to break embargo and get myself in trouble. No worries, man. Well, thanks for jumping on, and have a good day at work. As much as possible. Actually, I don't even think I can confirm that until later on tonight. I hope Sony doesn't catch me confirming that. Don't tell anyone just yet. So, Sane got an experience level. Hopefully he gets a good another stat boost. More strength. Excellent. Sane does a lot of damage. He's a bit of a glass cannon because his defense is only 6, but he does a lot of damage, which is good. Now we have to deal with the boss, and then we can finish this map up. We'll start by peppering him with some arrows. It doesn't do too much. As you can see, the boss has a lot more health, and has a steel axe, so he's actually going to be pretty deadly if I don't kill him in one go. Now the thing is, and this is one, last week I said on the stream that unfortunately the Fire Emblem AI is a little bit exploitable, because if I end the turn, because he is the leader, he's just going to sit there, which is a little bit of a strange decision to make. Just lets me weaken him with arrows first, and level up Will before I finish him off with Lynn. Mind you, if more bosses did this, I'd enjoy boss fights much more. One of the things I like least about video games is usually the boss fights. I'm not a fan of those. They exhaust me, and I find them to be stressful in a lot of games, especially action games. And I don't want to be stressed out while I'm playing a game. I want to take it easy. If more bosses were that predictable in terms of their AI, it would be much better. Yes, exactly. I'm glad we can agree on that, because boss fights do suck badly. Now, Florina is only level 1, so she is definitely the weakest in the party right now. If I can knock the boss out with Flow, I will do so. So as you can see, the Slim Lance, which is much weaker but faster, I get 2 attacks in, and that's a pretty reasonable chance of hitting at 81%. Whereas with the Iron Lance, I get 1 attack, and it would kill the boss in one go, but it has a lower percentage chance of hitting. So I'm going to go with the Slim Lance and just hope for the best. Not when they're bandits. You know, there really isn't too many games that genuinely ask that question. A lot of games put up a pretense of actually asking about that, but there are so few games that actually question this kind of thing. Like, you can't diplomacy your way out of a Fire Emblem level. The Last of Us 2, which we were talking about there, that pretends to care about, or to ask the question about violence and whether it's right or wrong to do things, but ultimately it upholds it. So there's just not many games that do it. Spec Ops The Line, that PlayStation 3 one. Manhunt. Weirdly enough, Manhunt did. A lot of people hold Manhunt up as some kind of snuff film simulator, but actually that one was quite subversive and actually did question it. So I wish Manhunt was still around. It got banned in Australia, so even if they re-released it, I wouldn't be able to play it, but it was a good game. I always joke to myself, it's actually more a reference to the clothing they wear. You know, they wouldn't be caught dead or alive in that clothing. I don't know if, I mean, that's a very Australian saying, I guess, but it works, it fits. It would not be caught dead or alive wearing that. No, Manhunt is a snuff film simulator, but in being that snuff film simulator, it actually argues against everything that you're doing as you're playing. It's very clever. And yes, I'm talking about Rockstar, so clever in context of what Rockstar usually does. But I actually thought Manhunt was worth... I haven't played the second one because the second one was banned immediately in Australia. But I played the first one before it got banned, and I actually thought that Manhunt deserved a lot more critical analysis than it actually got, because I think people just accepted it on face value without really seeing the less than subtle criticisms that were in there. A bit like Lollipop Chainsaw. In a weird way. Lollipop Chainsaw got criticised to high heaven because it had a sexy cheerleader in it, so people immediately assumed that it was exploitative, and even people that apparently played it still seemed to think that it was, when actually it was the exact opposite, and it was subversion. I don't think people quite get subversion in video games yet, is the point. Excellent job, Flo. Good job. And because she defeated the boss, she'll get a full level worth of experience points. The bosses are always worth 100 experience points, so they give you the full new level, which is exactly what I needed Flo to get, because she's got to level up fast if she's actually going to be useful later on down the track. That's a difficult one. I automatically assume that Suda is subversive to just about everything that he does with his games. And I certainly think that the 25th Ward is another one in which it was a fundamentally subversive game. So, that being said, I wouldn't say that he handled that particular theme particularly well, if I'm reading it right anyway. If I'm not, then it is what it is, obviously. I mean, as we know from Personas and whatever, Japanese developers do struggle with, LGBTI themes in general, but particularly trans themes. They struggle with that. And I will say that The Last of Us 2, for all of its many, many faults, managed to one-up everybody by doing that even worse, because that one's really upset people as well. So I think the games industry as a whole, not just Japanese developers, the games industry as a whole really struggles with this theme still, and you would think that somebody would clue into the fact they just need to engage with the trans community to understand how to do these things better, but that's not happening for whatever reason. Excellent stat up for Flo. One of the problems with Florina is that her strength can really... Because those experience points, the attributes as they level up, those are randomized to an extent. Each character has a certain percentage chance to increase each of the attributes with every level they get. There's a good chance that Florina's strength doesn't develop very much at all. So if she does get a point in strength from a level up, then that's a really good leveling up. Yeah, the best... yeah, it's... You should play it for one thing. It is a very interesting game. Goichi Suda has done some fascinating stuff with that, with the both of them, because the Silver Case and then 25th Ward. Yeah, they're really interesting visual novels, and they do very interesting things with the noir genre, and I really enjoyed them. So I would highly recommend those, actually, if you get a chance. just don't do what I did and play them when you have after you've had a couple of glasses of wine, because those things do demand your utmost attention. And oh, you have played both. Okay, good. Okay, good. Of course, I should have assumed that if it was a visual novel, you would have played it. And I believe we are back. I hope we are back. I'm very sorry about that tech issue. I had a disconnection of my internet, so hopefully I am back anyway. Very sorry about that. I'm very annoyed with Australia's internet and my internet connection and everything. Very annoyed. Hate doing that. Sorry everybody. Hopefully I can get you back. I don't know where we're at, but I'll continue playing along, and hopefully, it does seem like we're back, so... Anyway, continuing on. Florina helped defeat the boss there, and now she's just told us that she's gone on a quest where she wants to join a band of military people in order to continue her training as a Pegasus Knight. And conveniently for her, Lynn happens to be a band of military people that she knows and trusts and isn't comprised entirely of men, so she feels confident and comfortable with joining this particular group, and that means that we have access to a Pegasus rider as a resource, a human resource as such. And of course, in comes Sane, the wannabe Lancelot, just to demonstrate that actually Florina has every right to be terrified of men, because he is certainly trying his hardest to be a man. So I have no idea if the chat is working again. Once again, apologies if any of this is not working for you now. Fortunately, it does seem like we've had some... Ah, it is working. It's just not working on the actual stream channel. Okay, hi Diddy, I can see you now. Yeah, thanks for joining us back again, and sorry about that. So, what has Lynn got in common with Abby? Nothing really. Lynn's not a terrible character. I probably did. But it is what it is, and I stand by it. They're all terrible people in The Last of Us 2. That's kind of the point. They're all meant to be terrible. Put Insane in his spot there. Stay back, don't get so close. I mean, the thing is, he's got a stink as well. I mean, he's wearing knight armor, right? And he's just been through a battle. He probably sweated quite a lot. So, you know, why anyone would even want to be with him, even if he wasn't the most annoying personality there is a question for the ages. I do love how all those kind of knight romanticism things, not just knights either, it's also in Japan with the samurai fantasies, but everybody seems to neglect the fact that those people must have absolutely stunk and their armor would have been terrible to smell. Except Lynn, of course. Lynn would have smelled perfect all the time. She's not wearing armor anyway. And yet another lovely key art, or whatever you want to call them. I swear, this is happening after every scene, at every level at the moment. It doesn't happen with the rest of the game, unfortunately, because they're pretty well drawn. And I would love to see a HD remake of Fire Emblem, like, even if it was as relatively simple as the one that happened with the Langrissa series earlier this year, and it just brought these kinds of artworks into, you know, high definition. I would be very happy indeed, because, yeah, they do set a scene. I did, yeah, sorry, I thought I put out enough tweets to make it clear that I started early. Hi Sean, but don't worry, I'm going to continue playing anyway. I just started early. I'm experimenting with times to start these things, to try to find the right time that's suitable to all the watchers. So, yeah, sorry about that, if I didn't get the message across to you in time. You only missed one level anyway, and we only got introduced to Florina and Will. So we haven't met Dorcas yet. Right, okay, I'll keep that in mind. So we'll revert to this time to start for for the retro stream in the future, since, you know, it's fun to chat with you when you're on, and it's good to have you here. So, and Diddy said it's fine as well, so the two regulars get to choose the times that I run these things. So 9 PM Aussie time next week again. I think we meet Dorcas now in the next level, isn't it? No, we just finished the level where we recruited Will the Archer and Florina the Pegasus girl. We haven't missed Dorcas yet. Dorcas is coming. Yes, it is Dorcas time. Actually, jokes aside, I actually really like this level as well. This is one of the few levels where it's a little bit alternative to having to just attack outright, and this time you need to close ranks and defend an area. There was one level in the GameCube Fire Emblem that did this as well, and I find these levels really memorable for some reason. I don't know, I think the level design of Fire Emblem suits the kind of the defeating the enemy waves thing. No, this game is a very happy game. No one has time to worry about travellers. This area is having a tourism slump, which is a pity. I mean, we've moved past some pretty nice little towns. There's some history here with this ruined fortress. Set up a nice inn or two, a hotel here or there, and you could have a nice little tourism industry going. You'd think the bandits would want that, because that's easy money then. No, writers never tire of that, did he? They never do. I prefer a place where I can feel the wind blow. Very poetic, Lynn. Everything she does is magic. I always wonder just what it is that she actually has. Because obviously they don't explain it here, but she's just got a bad leg that she's had since she was a child. Her husband, many years later, you would assume, has decided to go finding the money to get it mended, as though you can just mend a chronic bad leg that you've had since a child. That's I'm not a doctor, but I can't imagine Dr. House diagnosing that one. Doesn't matter how much money they raise. Oh, okay, very good, Sean. There you go. You've logicked that one for me. Thank you. I did not. I'm just buying some weed. That seems more likely. That'll fix anything. And that's the other thing I love about this cutscene. If you meet Dorcas, you've got to give him a message that his wife is looking for him. Looking for him where? I mean, if she's on the move, it's not a particularly useful message. I spent all of my money for games this week on Go. There's a Go game on Nintendo Switch that just got released, and since Go wasn't in Clubhouse games, I needed to have this app. But it was $60. 60 Australian dollars. I guess that's because they assumed that they'd only sell one copy, and that was to me. Oh, right, well, I mean, ultimately, it doesn't matter if the thing's on sale anyway. At some point, I don't mind if I've got the money, I'll buy it. But, oh, right, okay. In that case, I'll just wait for Dejica Games to port it to the Switch. That's their thing these days. Porting Kogoro games. Yeah, getting better while playing Silver Star Go, that's the one. Luckily, I already kind of know how to play Go, so the fact that the absolutely dismal translation doesn't hurt me isn't an issue. But you would think that a game that was designed particularly to teach people how to play Go would do what it needed to make sure that it was clear, because I think you could actually come away more confused about the game than going in. Thanks to that translation, it was not good at all. But the game itself is fine. Once you play against the AI, I find the AI to be good, especially since there's quite a few different levels that you can play against, and it is Go. I will be doing a review of that. For anybody else listening, for digitallydownloaded.net, and maybe even a video, since people seem to enjoy my videos about all these classical games. The Hanafuda ones went down pretty well, so I might do a video on this Go game. It is good. So, just in case anybody missed that cutscene that's been going on here in the background while we've been talking, a bunch of bandits have circled around a little castle that Lynn and her friends are staying at overnight, and there's a girl in there, Natalie, who has a bad leg, can't run, so they're going to have to defend this broken down, rundown castle from a whole bunch of bandits that are attacking it. As you can see, a lot of bandits there. A lot. Here comes Dorcas. What a hunk. See, if they were going to make a movie about Fire Emblem, Dorcas is clearly Chris Hemsworth. I mean, look, you can even see it. Like, there's a Chris Hemsworth right there. Just there. So, as we know, Dorcas has joined this group to try and get some money to heal his wife's leg, and he's not happy about this group. You can see it just there in his face. He's just not happy about the lot he's been given in life. Dorcas is the champ. Dorcas is one of those characters that you level up later on down the track. He just becomes invulnerable, and he just goes out and wipes the floor with everything. He is one of the most useful little characters in the entire game. Speaking of such, Sean, did you play the GameCube Fire Emblem? The Virgin Saint, the Chad Dorcas. Very good team. Yeah, so if you have played the GameCube one, Sean, then you would know the name Brom. Brom was a champ. I seriously leveled Brom up to the point where I would just send him out and he would just sit there and every enemy would attack him and they'd all die. He was just invulnerable. It was great. Brom and Nephany the soldier as well, she was also good. Although I can't remember if she was more overpowered in the Wii one or the GameCube one. So 7 turns I have to survive this attack from all of these axe-wielding maniacs. As you can see, we're pretty outnumbered, but that's alright. We have solutions, as you will soon see. I wish they would just package up the GameCube and Wii one, since they were direct sequels. I wish they would just package those two up and release them as is on the Switch. They wouldn't even need to up-res them or whatever, just throw them there on the Switch as a package of 2 games. I would love to play the GameCube one again, especially. What was my favourite character? There was another one that I really loved in the GameCube one. I think her name was Astrid. She was a knight. She wore white armour. And I really liked her. Astrid, I think. I really, really liked her as well. There we go. I have got memory. I haven't played the GameCube one since the GameCube, so it's been too many years now. It was a great game. Yeah. She was a really cool character too, so great name for a great character. Alright, so now we have to move Lynn, because she's decided she's going to guard the east side all by herself, although it won't be for too long. Now, as you can see, there's a crack in the wall there, and of course the enemy are going to try to beat that down. So let's move Will over this way. I don't see why they don't. I mean, they've run out of Wii U games to bring over to the Switch, so they may as well look back to even older, more beloved consoles. And yeah, just give us that pack of the GameCube and Wii Fire Emblems, since they're so hard to play otherwise. Now, unfortunately, in this battle, I am going to have to use Kent. Even though I'm trying not to, because I need to block that entrance. And then Fiora is pretty useless in this battle. So she'll just be a floater. She'll just wander around and do what needs to be done. Dorcas. That's not cool, Dorcas. You never throw an axe at a lady. I actually think I still have the GameCube one. I don't have a GameCube anymore, but I think I kept the disc, so I guess I'm sitting on a fortune there. I should probably take advantage of that, huh? So Will is a bit of a better archer than the random red dude there. Okay, so this is another mechanic. This is the main mechanic that this battle introduces you to. And it's the ability to talk to certain characters on the battlefield. And if you talk to those characters, they'll actually join. If you use the right character to talk to that character, they'll actually join you in the battle, which you obviously want to do if you want to increase the size of your party down the track. And just like that, Dorcas is now an ally. Never underestimate the power of persuasive speech. Words to live by. And the group finally has an axeman to use, which is an important part of that triangle that we've established. Without the axe, you can't beat the lancers so easily. So Dorcas the Brute. Okie dokie. So now we need to deal with all of this. So Will is going to shoot down the archer. And the knights will deal with the mass of barbarians that are on the doorstep there. Or start to anyway. And just like that, we're done. So, good job, Kent. He's got nothing on Sane. As annoying as Sane is, Kent just doesn't get the stats to make him worthwhile. Right. And so now the enemy has reinforcements coming, which is fine, I guess. We'll get Dorcas out of the way here. Sane does his bits. Oh, Dorcas, Dorcas, Dorcas. So hand axes are not particularly useful weapons, I find, because they just miss so readily. They're a pain, actually. But the iron axe, on the other hand, now that thing hits hard. Good job, Dorcas. Yeah, he certainly... I mean, when you stop using him as a ranged unit at all, he improves, and you give him a good steel axe, so he just needs to hit once and everything's dead. That's when Dorcas really reaches, you know, comes into his own. Now, my problem, I guess, it's not really a problem. The reason that sometimes when I play through this game I don't use Dorcas that much is because you're kind of stuck using Hector anyway, and Hector's a pretty damn useful axeman anyway. We'll get to Hector soon enough. And yeah, just for the diversity of the party as such, having two axemen is a little bit hard to rationalise with some levels. These days, though, the first couple of times I played through, I didn't use Dorcas at all, and that was a mistake. I definitely keep him in the party now, but yeah, he's no Hector. Kent gets another level, and see, what a useless statistic upgrade. One better to resistance. Come on, that's just not cool. Ooh, poor Lynn. So one of the things we actually didn't chat about in the stream last week is this game actually has permadeath. If you lose your leader, which is Lynn in this case, becomes other characters later on. If you lose Lynn or the other leaders, then it is an instant game over. If you lose any of these other characters, it is not, but they're gone from the game for good, so all of that experience and whatever is actually gone as well. So basically, if you lose a character, it doesn't really matter which. If you lose a character, then it's best to just restart the level, and that's what I've always done. And I'm sure if we continue streaming these week after week, there's going to be many cases where I have to restart levels, simply because small things can lead to characters dying. As you saw, Lynn nearly died in this level, which is really not much more than a tutorial. Luckily I have a vulnerary, which will get me the health I need to see Lynn through this level. Sane needs a bit of a health up as well. Good job, Sane. Stay put. Move Kent up. Good job, Dorcas. Nearly got an experience level now. I wish they'd stop attacking Kent. Kent's getting all the experience points. I didn't want him to. I wanted to use him as little as possible. There we go. Will successfully defended his crack. And that's it. No more threat from that point. Oh, good. Another strength update for Will. Excellent. Good archer. A good archer is a strong archer. That's not going to hit. No. Worth a try, I guess, but that was never going to hit. Excellent work there, Sane. Ooh, defense. That's good. That's actually good. He didn't get a strength boost, but the defense is useful. Anyway. I think I might take a swing at the boss, actually. Sane could defeat him in one. You don't have to defeat the boss in this level, but it's probably not such a bad thing to do, given the situation. Yeah, of course, I'll do that as much as possible. But that boss is too tempting right now. I've got Sane down there ready to knock him out. Oh, Dorcas, you useless, useless man. Okay, so... I probably won't now because I would rather Lynn get some experience points. Oh, Dorcas. That's just poor form, fella. He's missed like 4 in a row now. He'll miss this one too. 5 in a row. Dorcas, Dorcas, Dorcas. I'll need it, I think. Curses, they're not human. There we go. So we defeated them. We've won. We have indeed. What I find fascinating is this Dorcas guy is apparently deeply in love with Natalie, and yet he just keeps dropping everything to run off with whatever group promises him a bit of cash. It's that's a fascinating relationship they've got going there, those two. I mean, this time he's going on a long journey, very, very far away from Natalie. So he's leaving a crippled wife behind to play the mercenary's life. I mean, Dorcas is pretty cool, but by the same token, dude needs some marriage counseling. Is he the only actual character that's in a relationship in this game? In your party, I mean. I'm thinking back. I don't think any of the other characters actually end up... I mean, I don't think any of them have some kind of marriage relationship. There's a brother and sister, but they both join. Just trying to think. I mean, I'm pretty sure the mercenary life, at least in the world of Fire Emblem, is certainly not one for married people. Ah, yes. That's right. I'm pretty sure... I think you're right, actually. I think he does. But he tries to be all mysterious and stuff anyway, so who knows? He could be making that up as well. Oh, actually, Urk and that priestess have got to have something going on. They hate each other so much. they've got to have something going off screen. We'll get to Urk. Urk turns up soon enough. I do like Urk. Okay, so that's another mission done. Another level. I know, whoever came up with Urk was having a great day with the naming. Beyond the borders. So, now we are in... Oh, we do meet Urk now anyway. I was just talking about him. I couldn't remember exactly which mission he jumps in on. But, yes, we're about to meet Urk. Sane is so irritating. he just never turns off. He just never gives it a break. And we've got some more bandits that show up. Each one uglier than the last. And Twin Tails. Not green, unfortunately, and not quite long enough, but it is always nice to have a Twin Tails in every anime game. So here's our Twin Tails this time around. Man, that dude's hair is just stunning. That purple shade is just... That is just sweet. Ugh. I wonder if she'll be Sundu. That's your thing. Yeah. Yeah, she's... I would be more than happy to play the role of Urk in this film version of Fire Emblem. Let's put it that way. Why are you saying an insult? No, it's never explained, but you are right, he is. See, these two obviously have something going on. They hate each other, but, you know, they just don't. It's obvious. That's exactly it. They absolutely are. And it's just convenient that when they pop back into the story later on, they're still together. You know, it's just pure coincidence, of course. Are they still together, actually? Or do they meet up again? Actually, maybe they meet up again. It's been too long since I've last played Fire Emblem, obviously. And so they've got themselves stuck into this situation, mostly because the Twin Tail girls was the Twin Tails girl was less than helpful. But as we're about to find out, Urk has got some nasty tricks up his sleeve. He's a magic user. It's Gandalf with purple hair, basically. So we're about to make a couple of new friends, anyway. Yeah, he doesn't even he doesn't even need to look at where he's aiming. He just I'll just throw the spell out. It's all the magic users in this game are pretty good, actually. The Dark Mage, what's his name? That we meet much later on. The Dark Wizard. He's pretty neat. He's a pure STEM dude. He's the STEM science dude of the magic world. And then the light magic user is Lucian. And Lucian's pretty neat too. So we'll chat up Sarah here and join them. Get them to join us. Why are you fighting the bandits? It just happened. Yeah. Poor Urk. I like how Lynn just kind of brushes it off. She's so in control is Lynn. She's just so chill. That's great rhyming too. His name is Urk. I think he's been hurt. This game has a remarkably subtle, well, not really subtle at all. It has a remarkably dry, that's the word I'm looking for, a dry sense of humour at times. Anyway, actually, Twin Tails Girl, as abrasive as her personality is pretty useful to have on the battlefield because she can heal. There we go. No more vulneraries we need, we just have Sarah around and she can't fight, but she can do the heal thing. And now we'll have Urky. It is good to have a wizard on your side. Okay, so that was all the tutorialing we need for this battle. Now we get to take control ourselves. And I can get Kent out of here because I'm not going to use him. Move the archer up. Move Sarah the wizard up. Sarah? No. Florina. And let's have Sane deal with this punk up here. Oops. Urky. Not good. Not good, fella. Yeah, that's why I like Sane. It's not so much for Sane himself, because Sane's an annoying incel. But the horsey is so cute. Horsey didn't deserve that. Oh, will I stop missing every attack? I'm having a bad run of it tonight. I am not using Dorcas against the sword fighter when the sword fighter's in the middle of a forest. That's just not going to happen. Dorcas come later. I'm going to use Dorcas to bop the archer or something. Let's... Oh, for goodness sakes. How? Maybe I do have to use Dorcas. Oh, dearie me, this is... Alright, Dorcas, here's your chance to shine, buddy. Oh, he did! He did, he pulled through for me. Good job, Dorcas. He pulled through. He did it. He got it done. When things are on the line, Dorcas gets it done. What a champ. I know, and you got a strength boost too, which is, let's face it, with Dorcas, it's the strength boost that counts. I always like putting Dorcas into the houses as well to chat with the townsfolk and get the information, because he just looks so completely disinterested in everything. He just wants to get back out there and, you know, swing the axe around, but it's just such a blank face. Which is pretty much just like Chris Hemsworth from the Avengers movies, really. If we got to make the Fire Emblem movie, it would be Chris Hemsworth as Dorcas for sure. Alright, yeah, Liam could pull it off as well, I think. Any Hemsworth, really. Isn't there another Hemsworth that's also an actor? I'm pretty sure it's like a Baldwin situation they've got going on, where there's more actors than anybody can actually remember. Pretty sure there is. Yeah, pretty much. True story, since we're talking about Chris, I actually met Chris once. He's a pretty cool guy. He was doing Dancing with the Stars in Australia when he was still just a soapy actor on Home and Away. And he was an absolutely terrible dancer, but he was a really cool dude, and he actually did his training in the dance studio that I train at. And yeah, he's great. We actually are pretty much the same age. I think he's like 6 days older than me or something. And we're pretty much the same height. And back in those days, I was actually in shape. So it was pretty funny. We had a good time. Chris is a good guy. Luke. Yes, I've never seen Luke in anything, I don't think. Yeah. Oh damn, I've given it away. I'm actually secretly Chris Hemsworth. When I'm not being Thor, I'm playing video games online. Heal up Dorcas. Yeah, I never watched Neighbours, that's the thing. I mean, now I've just admitted that I watched Home and Away, but I did know who Chris was before everything else. But yeah, I had no idea about Luke. Yeah, it's weird because Liam's like compared to the family, Liam's pretty on the slim side. I haven't seen Liam in too much either. The only one that I can remember that I've seen him in was the Expendables movie, which is weird that he was in it, since the Expendables was all about every old action movie star, and there was this young dude with a Hemsworth name. But yeah, I remember seeing him in that, but I can't remember too much else that he's been in. He's a pretty charismatic guy. I assume that Luke must be as well. It must run in the family. Oh, he did too, you're right. Fake Thor. Brother helping out the brother. I reckon they get each other jobs, opportunities and stuff as well. That's why it's the family thing. You can set up dynasties easy enough. What's the other one? The Skarsgård family. I think that's pronounced right, is it? With old man Stellan, and then he's got like 4 sons, and they're all actors as well. One of the sons played like Pennywise in the It movies. Yeah. Yeah, Stellan's great. I'm actually a big fan of Stellan. Yay, Dorcas comes through again. He's hitting on all the low percentage, the low percentage swings right now. Good stuff. All right, so I can now use Florina because there's no archers left to deal with. Oh really? Luke was fake Thor. Okay. In that case, I have seen Luke in something as well then. Stream Venus Vacation. I already streamed the I streamed the Switch one. I'll do that again at some point. I've got so much traffic for that, I might as well. People seem to like watching Dead or Alive for some reason. I don't know what it is. Dorcas! Crunching through the enemies now. I'd probably have to restart this level if it wasn't for Dorcas this time. I mean, Dorcas has just hit everything. It's okay to watch Marvel. Marvel's still popcorn fun. It's where you start watching the DC movies and can name random facts from the DC movies. That's when you've got a problem. With the exception of Wonder Woman, I guess. Although Wonder Woman's later half was certainly not up to any kind of standard. It just set itself up well, but yeah, that later half was not good. I mean, I kind of appreciated, I guess, what they were trying to do, I think, with Batman vs. Superman, but it came across not good at all. And no, I don't like the Joker, before anybody asks. The Joker is just an off-brand Clockwork Orange about 30 years later that somehow got lauded because Joaquin Phoenix can do a halfway decent weird guy role. It just didn't work for me. Yeah, I mean, Marvel films are fun. I enjoy them as fun. I don't think they're the masterpieces. I don't know if you guys saw this, but the guy that wrote that wonderful comparison to Schindler's List for The Last of Us 2 also credited The Avengers as some masterpiece. I think it was Endgame. Yes, Endgame. Credited Endgame as some masterpiece of cinema, and that guy's just got problems. But as entertainment, I find them a lot of fun. A lot of fun. They're also really good background noise when I'm working. Because I work from home, sometimes I need something on in the background. And putting the Avengers movies on is actually quite useful because I don't need to focus on them too much. I'm sure he's a perfectly decent guy. He just comes across as a bit strong. Also, it's quite noticeable that he hasn't played anything actually decent. He just plays the blockbuster stuff. Which is, I guess, an ongoing issue with this industry. Like, I would genuinely prefer to see people playing a broader range of games. And if you think that The Last of Us 2 is a Schindler's List quality blockbuster, then perhaps you're not playing deep enough in what the industry offers. You know, we don't have the Olive Garden here in Australia, but everything I hear about it makes me morbidly interested in actually checking it out, because yeah, it just seems like that thing that I should try just once. A bit like McDonald's, really. Well, I mean, that's the kind of thing that got a little bit lost in all of this, that if the best film you can reach to is Schindler's List, and that film is not terrible by any means, but if that is your epitome of art, I think that's what he was aiming for. Or perhaps he was trying to make the point that it was the kind of the non-entertaining film that he reached to, but that just suggests that he hasn't watched too many other films either that haven't been neatly packaged up by Hollywood. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Because there are certainly more important films, even about that particular topic, than Schindler's List. It's just that that's a Spielberg. So we're nearly about to... I've been playing along while we have been talking. We're nearly about to take on this boss guy and then finish this level. Yeah, I mean, if I was going... Okay, so if I was going to reach for something unpleasant to experience, or I have actually, every time I've had to reach for that as an example of film, I always go with Irreversible, because Irreversible is by far the most unpleasant, most unrelentingly unpleasant film I have ever experienced. But a film that's absolutely amazing, because that's kind of the point of it. But yeah, that just goes to show that he really hasn't delved too deep into these media beyond the most obvious blockbuster stuff, if these are the examples that he's reaching for. I mean, Solo 120 Days of Sodom is probably another good example. It's right up there with Irreversible. But these films aren't easily accessible on the iTunes, I guess. So it's a bit hard for some people to see them these days. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Shoot. Pressing the wrong buttons. I just want to finish this battle now. Let's do it. I wanted to buy a javelin for Florina, because a javelin she can throw, that gives her a ranged attack, which is good. Are all my dudes healthy? Dorcas is not, and given the way this map has gone, I probably need Dorcas for this boss, otherwise the boss will beat me down. So let's heal up Dorcas. Proven his worth already, the tank. And we're ready to take on the boss. So let's pepper him with ranged attacks first. Good job, Urk. Next up, we'll use the archer. Well, see, that's the thing. Irreversible has both in spades. I mean, you've got to see that film. I'm hesitant to recommend it, because it's the least pleasant film I've ever seen, but it's got everything and then some. Good job, Florina. Got a level out of that. 5 stats increased, but none of the stats I actually want Florina to develop. Okay, so Lynn is level 4, Dorcas is level 4, and Sane is level 6. So let's give Lynn the kill and the experience level. Oh, she's not actually going to finish off Bug. I bet the other 2 characters will. What happens if Dorcas take... Ooh, okay. So Dorcas will take a swing as well. Good job, Dorcas. And now Lynn can finish it off. Bang. Bug is dead. Bye-bye, Bug. Dorcas did not miss a single attack then, and he was attacking at like 30% chance to hit with some of those. Oh, come on, Lynn. Just 1 hit point. Boo. Anyway, Dorcas is in a rhythm now, so... we cool. Nicely done, Matt. And again, this game just loves to credit me, who has done absolutely nothing at the actual fighting, with the result of the battle. I do like that. It's a nice way of lifting me up. What a surprise, you are very strong, Lynn. What an underhanded, backhanded compliment. Okay, so Sean, here's the thing, right? Dorcas is on this quest to earn money to find the magic healer that's going to fix Natalie's leg. So now he's found a magic user. That should be the end of Dorcas's story, right? Just, you know, convince her to come and heal Natalie, right? And then it's all done. It's all solved. Another logic hole in the game. You never know, Diddy Ram. It could be Sane. I mean, we only ever see him riding on horseback, right? So you never know. Maybe he is a knight who fights from horseback precisely because he's otherwise wheelchair bound. Oh, that's a good point. Okay, Sean. Well done, Sean. You've managed to keep the logic gap, or the logical flaw closed. So I'll give you that one. Take a wild guess at who's decided that Twin Tails Girl must absolutely stay in the party. Take a wild guess. He's back. He just never turns off, this guy. Urk's gonna hit this dude with some flame. That sentence needed grammar check. One too many S's there. Oops. Sane is a perennial screw-up. And Sarah's demonstrating that she's an abuser. So this story is going places. I like how Sane is just making an executive decision just to add people to the party, even though he's just a knight in the employ of basically everybody, and he's a low-ranking dude. He just decides arbitrarily that these people are going to join them on their quest. It's an amazingly democratic mercenary party for a mercenary party that's led by an actual lord. When do you kill Sane? Oh, now he brings up the fact that he doesn't actually have the authority to just add people to the roster. Yeah, I think we're all irk right now. No worries, Sean. We're just about to wrap actually for this session anyway because we're between battles. So thanks for joining in. And yeah, we'll make sure that we start next week at the time that's more appropriate for you. And we'll catch you then. Poor Urk. Yeah, once again, we are all Urk right now. Okay, and then we have a cutaway to all the evil deviousness that's happening with Uncle here. Now, see, those are fighting words, Diffy. Marie Rose is the only character. Well, Marie Rose and Nico now, but in terms of the ones that are in the beach volleyball thing, Marie is the only one. I agree with you, Honoka. Honoka's a bit of trash. So this cutscene is pretty important because, as we see, Uncle Lundgren has decided to send actual soldiers. So as you would have seen in all the battles to date, it's been against bandits. But now, Lundgren here has decided to commit actual soldiers. So things are scaling up. Bandits are easy to defeat because they're undisciplined warriors and all that nonsense. But trained soldiers, that's another matter entirely. The stakes are getting higher. Yes, but Tengus are evil. Like, actual evil is the point. We're not just talking Sun here, we're talking genuine, bona fide, no good, they're gonna kill ya kind of evils. Whereas Marie Rose is just a cool chick. No, they're genuine evil, I'm telling you that. 100% guaranteed. Pure evil. No, they're genuine evil, I'm telling you that. And there's nothing that Dead or Alive can do in the Oppi department to change that. Oh no, she just plays to that. She's all cool. Ultimately, she's a good person. She cares about her friends. They hang out. They have parties. It's all chill. Anyway, on that note, we're going to call a wrap to this stream tonight. We've actually gone for quite a long time. Sorry again about that unfortunate disruption midway through, thanks to some kind of technical issue. Feel free to write to the Australian Prime Minister to tell them that the disruptions to these streams are not acceptable, because believe me, I would like for that to happen. Thanks very much as always for tuning in. It's great to have you. Had a good chat and played some good levels of Fire Emblem. We'll be back next week with more retro goodness. In the meantime, enjoy games for this week, and we'll be back streaming again on Friday with something a little bit darker, no doubt. And yeah, we'll see you then. Thanks as always.